Ryan, if you were the commissioner of boxing, what was one thing you would change?
The commissioner of that everybody can smoke weed. Hey, what if a boxing league? Imagine a boxing league where you could do steroids.
I think you've been in the ring with someone that's on steroids.
Oh yeah, I thought Oscar Duarte was on steroids. I'm not gonna lie, that is crazy.
All right, maybe that's the move. I don't know, man. Ryan might have been on to something. Maybe he was letting us know something. You know what I mean? Salute, guys. It's Claymore Rain at ATP Combat Media. Shout out to all my subscribers. Now, look, if this is your first time tapping into the content, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit your bell icon so you're getting all the alerts when this content is dropping. So, yeah, man, I just played you guys just a little short, a little snippet short. This was a actual before the Devin Haney Ryan Garcia fight when Ryan and Devin Haney were doing media. And Ryan, to put it in perspective, it seemed like Ryan was being sarcastic, right? Not to be taken seriously, messing with the reporters, messing with his trolls, trolling his trolls, right? But at the same time, maybe looking into the future, you know what I'm saying? Like he says, he does have an ability to see where the future is going, and he can see things happening before they happen. God speaks to him, things of that nature. And maybe this was something he was speaking into fruition, right? With everything going on right now, in the boxing space in reference to this whole entire PED investigation going on with Ryan Garcia and the Osterine and the 3-4 syllable word I can't pronounce, 19, not Nostradon 19, and all the other allegations and alleged things that Ryan Garcia has been involved with, as far as even the weight, right, coming in 3.5 pounds over the agreed upon weight. We see that the space is actually, and when I'm talking about the space, guys, I'm talking about the fans, right? I'm talking about people like myself, media, content creators, some boxers as well, seem very tolerant all of a sudden, very, very tolerant in the topic of the conversation, which is PED use in the boxing space, in the combat space. And I can tell you, 10, 20 years ago, inside of the last 20 years, PED usage was a bigger deal, it seems like, right? And you don't know, sometimes things evolve under you, and you don't realize how they're evolving until you're in a situation and you hear people talking and you get pushback. And when you're thinking you're on the same page as the space, standing firm against performance enhancement drugs, standing for even playing field competition, fair competition, clean fighters in the sport of boxing, a sport that a lot of us love, sometimes aren't updated, right? We're not evolving with the sport as fast as the sport is evolving. And it seems like the boxing space has grown huge tolerance now for PD usage, right? Especially if they're a fan of the fighter in question or anything of that nature. And it leads you to believe that, or maybe for me, myself, having a moment of clarity, like the title of the video, to say, maybe it's us. Maybe I need to look at myself and reevaluate where I'm at in boxing and ask myself, am I up to speed with what the casual fan base has turned boxing into? A space where victories are still valued, but how they're come by doesn't seem to be as important as much as the victory happening. So when we're thinking about PD usage, the big thing that first comes to my mind is even playing field, right? Fair. What's good for the goose should be good for the gander. And maybe the issue that we're having is not understanding that boxing is going into new space to where a lot of fighters are actually interested more than ever in getting involved in performance enhancement drugs. And let's put that in perspective as well. It's not about being more interested, because I'm sure most fighters are always going to be interested in elevating and optimizing who they are, optimizing their abilities, enhancing their abilities, in search of a better word, just being the best version of themselves that they can be, even if it means compromising their body with actual performance enhancement drugs. Now, you have a lot of fighters who probably wouldn't be interested in getting involved with that, not because of the benefits, but because of the cons, right? What are the cons? The cons are causing your body to have to process a lot of these foreign chemicals that don't naturally grow in your body. Your liver, your kidneys having to, process even harder, work even harder to process all this stuff. A lot of fighters probably rather not get involved in it, but you do have those fighters out there who are interested in getting involved in that, and probably the only reason that they're not getting involved with that type of program, those kind of cycles, is because of the restrictions, right? That WADA provides, that the different athletic commissions in the different states provide, the parameters that they have to stay inside of, and potentially losing purses, being suspended, losing the ability to provide for their family at the end of the day, or pursue their greatness, and compete. But Ryan Garcia hit on something. He said, imagine a league where everybody was on steroids, where steroids was legal, where you could be on steroids. Well, in that world, in a league like that, you'd have to, maybe you don't have to, but I think it would be reasonable to consider the fact that it might be fair if everybody's allowed to do the same thing, right? If there's no restrictions on it across the board, then maybe the fight that happened on April 20th would be Devin Haney coming in under the influence of an Ostarine or a Nandrolone or whatever. I'm not that familiar with steroids that way, but listen, if you're allowed to and I'm allowed to, just like Devin Haney agreed to the 3.5 pounds, made the fight legal, right? A lot of people are saying that was not illegal what Ryan Garcia did, that he offered Devin Haney money for all 3 of those pounds that he was over. Devin Haney accepted that money, and therefore the fight was fair at that point. Now, obviously, you'll have people on the opposite side of that conversation who will push back at that idea that, Devin Haney was pressured, coerced, or even, put in a bad spot in order to make the fight happen for the money he knew he could make from getting a fight with Ryan Garcia. And also for all the people who bought tickets and pay-per-views, him deciding not to compete against Ryan Garcia because of 3 pounds would have shed a bad light on himself as well as hurt the event. So he took the fight, but regardless, it doesn't matter. The truth of the matter is he could have not agreed to the new terms and conditions. He could have demanded Ryan Garcia make that 140 weight class, or he could have walked away from the fight, but he didn't. He chose the fight, and he got the consequences he got with it at the end of the day, right? But more importantly, it became fair because he agreed to it. So, is it fair to say that if 2 fighters agree that steroids is okay, that they don't want to do testing, that they want to compete at the highest level, and whatever performance enhancement drugs that that it takes for them to be prepared for the fight, that they're okay with it? Is it a fair fight at that point? And even more, putting it into even more perspective, is it even more of a competitive fight now that you have 2 superhumans in the ring with each other? You know what I'm saying? Just pumped to the gills, juiced up to the gills, ready to do things that none of us could ever do on our own without the help of these performance enhancement drugs, as well as clearly their discipline and how hard they work to be the best boxers they could be. I don't know. I'll tell you, for me personally, I don't think it's for me. I don't think I would want to see a sport that way. I mean, you got to think about the casualties, the people who could die, not only the people who probably will die, not only from getting punched on by somebody who's got superhuman strength, but also the people who would die just of whatever ailments come, right? Whatever diseases come, or whatever deformities or whatever the shortcomings come from the side effects of using performance enhancement drugs, whether it be kidney failure, cirrhosis in the liver, heart attacks, things of that nature, outside of the actual concussive punches that could render somebody unconscious and have them never wake up again. Rest in peace to Sharif Lawson, I want to say is his name, in England a couple of days ago, made his professional debut and didn't make it. 29 years old. I don't know if he had family as far as kids or wife or things of that nature. I'm sure he had a mother or maybe siblings and people who anticipated him coming home, win or lose, you know what I'm saying, that night, and he just didn't make it. He just caught the wrong shot. I don't think it was PEDs involved in the conversation. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, boxing is a sport where people can lose their lives. And we say it all the time. You don't play boxing. You play any other sport, basketball, football, tennis, baseball, all these other sports you play. But, combat sports have that unique thing about them, right? You're literally attacking the other person, trying to debilitate them, knock them out unconscious, preferably. And, being on performance enhancement drugs, it's going to make it more severe, right? More severe. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Was Ryan Garcia on to something? You know, maybe he was predicting the future like he's done before. He predicted he'd beat Devin Haney. He predicted he'd lose against against Gervonta Tank Davis. He said he had a dream that God told him. He predicted he'd beat Oscar Duarte. And maybe his prediction is still holding true. Maybe he's on a winning streak, on a hot streak, basically predicting that maybe boxing will go in a space to where there'll be a limited amount of restrictions and regulations on performance enhancement drugs. And if that was the case, how bad does that look? Where do you guys stand on it? Do you think if everybody uses steroid, it's okay at that point? I don't know. Something to think about, right? Regardless, listen, like I said, shout out to my subscribers. If this is the first time tapping into the content, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, all right? Hit the bell icon so you get all the alerts when this content is dropping. It's your boy, Rain. See you guys at the live tonight. You know, me and Ray Davis will be cooking, talking about the fights coming up this weekend. So you guys show up and we can get the party going. You know how we carry it. And at this point, we out.